Hello everyone, my name is AJ, and I haven't come up with a good intro yet. Every TV show needs a good Halloween special, so today I'm going to be drafting up a concept for one. Welcome everyone to the Bed and Breakfast for Former Baddies Halloween special. But it's just the draft. I haven't actually written it yet. My brain thinks in cartoons. I do my best writing when I've had a chance to do some concept art first. I started by designing some Halloween costumes for everyone. Of course, starting with Charlie. Charlie's costume was my favorite to design. My version of Charlie, if you haven't seen the redesign video about her, is an ex-overlord who's been out of the game for a very long time. The first big Halloween parties didn't start until about Alistair's time, so it's not something that Charlie grew up with. She still celebrated it, but in a demon ceremony, human sacrifice kind of way. Now that she's got her bed and breakfast, it's the perfect time for her to try and celebrate it in a normal way for once. For her costume, I thought it would be fun to put her in her old Overlord costume. I've been wanting to design that costume for a while anyway. I think that when she was an Overlord, she let out more parts of her dragon form, so she'd be taken a little bit more seriously, but for some reason, hands would not draw snout today. It made more sense for the party anyway if she'd stay in her normal form. I did let out the dragon tail though. I wanted her outfit to have vampire princess vibes to it. I gave her a super high, super sharp collar and shoulder pads that you could cut yourself on to make her shoulders look wider and more intimidating. I left her stomach part open to expose abs that she no longer has. Since the silhouette of this outfit is so different than her suit, I really wanted to preserve the sharp 3-spike shapes that she has in her original outfit. That way it still feels like it's her outfit. I have tweaked her design, like her canon design, slightly since I first drew her, and you can see those changes reflected here. I've given her legs a dark gradient that I'll be exchanging for her weird socks from before. I also simplified her wing shards a tad. After Charlie, I did Vaggie. I think my Vaggie would be really into the costume part of Halloween. Vaggie's wing shards are really hard to work around, so instead I had her decide to put them to use. She decided to be a dragon. I gave her a hoodie that looks like a dragon's head, and for the wings, I had her fasten fabric to her wing shards. I think this episode would be a great way to see a different side of Vaggie. I've written her to be a little shy, especially in groups and especially around men, but once she's in costume it'll be totally different. I'm planning on having her really get into this activity like she hasn't for any of Charlie's other activities. Really let her get out of her shell and be excited for once. I'm thinking like the humor of this episode, like the main A-plot is Charlie like figuring out like what human traditions actually are. Like I was talking with my friend about it and I was thinking it would be really funny if she like found this old-timey recipe book that's full of like cute Halloween themed recipes, but she only reads the titles and not the actual ingredients. So like you know how sometimes they'll make like red punch and they'll call it like a jar of blood? She would get a real jar of blood. Moving on to the next costume. At this point in the story, Angel would still be a stoner. He isn't under contract yet. The only reason he's out of his room at all is because there's free food involved. If you haven't seen my redesign about him, my version of Angel during this point is super stinking lazy. So I made his costume the most low-effort thing that anyone could ever throw together. A toilet paper mummy. And, like, really didn't try at all. This episode isn't gonna do much for him. He'll mostly be in the background, either eating, sleeping, or chipping out. Until Cherry gets there anyway. Speaking of, here's her costume. My friend thought it would be funny if she went as a fireman, so that's exactly what I put her in. It's one of those super cheap Spirit Halloween costumes where it's just a job, but make it hot because it's for girls. There is no way in any plane of existence that she paid for that thing. I also drew her holding a bucket of candy that she also stole and a water gun for causing chaos. When she shows up to the party, punch will be spiked, water guns will be placed in irresponsible hands, valuables will be stolen, and at least one window will be broken. There may or may not be fireworks involved. It's gonna be bad when she shows up. Yeah, unfortunately for everyone, Cherry went to hell for good reason. Criminal mischief. She's gonna have a great time, but the party is gonna end so badly. Her chaotic energy will rub off on Angel too, and he'll get into it. All of his pranks are gonna be completely harmless, but Cherry's will eventually go a little too far. The last one I've got on this page is Lucifer. I wasn't originally gonna have him at the party since Halloween would realistically be such a busy day for him, but I thought I'd draw him a costume anyway. I thought it would be really cute if he went as himself, but as he's usually depicted in pop culture, little red man with horns and a tail. I also gave him a blow-up pitchfork. I have also changed his design a little bit, which you'll see when I eventually make my last redesign video. I've given him goat legs, simplified his wing shards, made his pupils into upside down crosses, and gave him some blonde hair dye. His hair is still naturally silver, and you can see that in the roots up top. After talking with my friend a little bit more, I ultimately did decide to have Lucifer show up to the party. We were thinking it would be funny if Lucifer was summoned to the party completely by accident. I was thinking that Vaggie could help Charlie with the decorations, so she makes a pentagram out of red tape and summons Lucifer while he's like in the middle of something. I'm thinking specifically like a bath, so we can get like a ton of rubber ducks just explode everywhere and then the carpet gets all wet. I was thinking the whole tub could come with him, but that brings with it the implication that the tub is also the devil, which, although very funny, I think it would be funnier if the water just fell everywhere. And then it's just too awkward for Charlie to tell him to leave, so he just stays. There wasn't enough room on the first page for the other characters I wanted to include, so I had to move to a second page. This time starting with Husk. I had a theme idea for Husk, Alistair, and Nifty, so I definitely wanted to draw them at the same time. Alistair is going as a wizard, Nifty is a witch, and Husk is being forced to go as the black cat. Witches almost always have a black cat. I think for wizards it's normally owls, but it could also be a cat. The cat idea was funnier. He hates his stupid costume. If given a choice, he wouldn't have dressed up at all. I've also made a few tweaks to Husk's design. Only thing I changed was rolling his sleeves up. I carried that through to his costume. I did forget to put the green stripes on his whiskers. Oops. My favorite part of his design is the cat ear hat he's been forced to wear. It looks so dumb. It has to be uncomfortable, too, like going over his poor ears. Ears on top of ears. Not fun. Alistair's costume was really easy. I love drawing wizards, super in my comfort zone. I did have to shrink everything on the page in order to fit him in there. Alistair is ridiculously tall compared to the rest of the cast. I think the only one who's at least as tall, if not taller, would be Valentino, but I didn't draw any of the V's. I wanted to, but I had to draw so many characters already, and I got tired. Anyway, ultimately not a whole lot to say about Alistair's costume, just went brain dead for a few minutes and he was all done. Nifty's turn. Nifty's costume is a reference to one of my old witch characters from high school. Her name was Rain, and she was this cute skeleton witch who worked with potions a lot. I first came up with her during Inktober a few years ago, and I still love her. I was going to give Nifty a wand too, but then I remembered she doesn't have hands, so I ditched it. I think Rain's outfit looks super cute on Nifty. It isn't very different from her usual outfit, and I did make some modifications to it so I could put lace on the sleeves. In the original one, she didn't have sleeves like this. She had sleeves, but they were striped like the leggings are, and she had like a shoulder cape on instead of the cute little lace puffed sleeves, so that was changed. Honestly, I might change that on her original outfit too, like the original characters, because it looks really cute. Penchus and his eggs were the last characters I was gonna do on this page. Penchus doesn't have a costume. He's of the opinion that Halloween costumes are childish, so he didn't make one. His eggs, however, are actual children, and we're very excited for Halloween. Sir Penchus was dragging his kid around to every battle and skirmish to sell and test weapons, so they never had a chance to be a normal kid. I have fleshed out the eggs a little more since their initial video, and a few more of them have names now. Number 4 is Egg Boy. Number 3 doesn't have a name yet. Number 2 is Sneg Boy. Number 1 doesn't have a name in universe yet, but it will be Egg Boy eventually, and Frank stays the same. They also have defined rules now based on common altar types. Egg Boy and Frank are currently the most fleshed out in my brain right now. Egg Boy is the baby. Whenever something really stressful happens, either Sneg Boy will take the front to protect them, or Egg Boy will take the hat to feel the emotion. Egg Boy is mentally younger than the other altars by quite a bit, so it's almost like age regression if you've ever heard of that, but in an altar. What happened was they were out trick-or-treating with Penchus, and Cherry stole their candy, and now they're all upset. Egg Boy got the hat before Sneg. I drew Pentious holding Egg Boy and trying to comfort him a little bit. This episode is planned to come out later in the series when Pentious has had a little bit of time to realize, oh shoot, I need to actually parent these dang things, which is why he's treating them better than he does at the beginning of the series. I think this particular episode of the series would be mainly, like, either Charlie focused. I think this part of the series would have Pentious and the eggs as being the B plot, but the B plot does take up more room and space than the A plot is. The A plot would be Charlie and Vaggie stuff, with Angel and Cherry being the C plot that won't have too much of an effect. That's the plan anyway. I thought it would be cute for all of the eggs to have different costumes. Egg Boy went as a cat, number 1 is a pineapple, and currently dissociating all the way out. Sneg Boy's costume is a reference to a Fakemon I made like 9 months ago who goes by the same name. That Pokemon is a baby snake with its head and tail poking out of the egg. That costume would be super easy for them to make since they're already eggs, so a fake tail and a hat, you're good. For number 3, Among Us. Specifically the one with the egg hat. All 5 of them are exactly in the right age range for that game. I know that it's kind of an old game now, but stuff travels to hell way slower than it happens up here. Among Us is still a good game, even if it's not trending. It's as fun as the people you're playing with. Number 3 is the caretaker of the group and also takes on most of the trauma, so they're also the most empathetic. They're currently trying to calm Sneg Boy down before he makes himself literally sick with anger, and then they will all get a tummy ache. No one wants that. The last one who is sitting on Pentious's tail is Frank. Frank is mentally the oldest, but also most immature. He's the one responsible for most of the troublemaking. He, like Pentious, thinks that Halloween costumes are childish and didn't dress up. He takes it farther though by refusing to participate in any of the festivities and generally being an angst lord. He's got like the same type of character arc that Dipper has from Gravity Falls, where his immaturity comes from wanting to grow up so fast that he won't allow himself to be a child in a regular way. Later when I got to the coloring stage, I changed Egg Boy's costume from a regular cat to Husk. I think it would be adorable for the eggs to interact more with the other adults in the cast, especially Husk. Husk seems like he'd be pretty good with kids. Out of all the eggs, Egg Boy has the easiest time getting attached to people, and I think it would be absolutely adorable if he loved Husk like a fresh out of jail uncle. The last costumes I wanted to do were Emily's and Adam and Eve's. Sarah doesn't get a costume because she's a huge prude who disapproves of Halloween, because she's such a wet blanket. I love her. Emily, though, very different. I think it would be adorable if Emily was really into horror movies, especially the old classic slashers. Now, I have never seen Scream before, or any of the other old slasher movies, to be frank, but I have heard lots of good things about Scream, and the costume is iconic. Since she's wearing a mask, she doesn't have to keep her wings over her face. The full-length cloak also negates the need for her bottom wings to cover her legs. By the way, just in case anybody gets the wrong idea, Emily does wear pants in her usual outfit, but Seraphim modesty standards are super extreme. The shape of the leg is considered inappropriate. Shoulders though? Nah. And now finally for the 2 characters and 2 costumes I was most excited to draw, Adam and Eve. I do not make it a secret that Adam and Eve are my favorite characters, and I think they're the most adorable couple ever. The hardest part was just figuring out the pose so you could see both costumes well. I wanted to put Eve on Adam's shoulders because that's where she would be most of the time, but eventually landed on a bridal carry. Adam and Eve are in a couple's costume set. I think the best idea I've ever come up with for a couple's costume set, the Headless Horseman and the pumpkin. I wanted to draw the 2 of them actually on their horses, but I also didn't feel like drawing a horse. Maybe some other time. This will be the only time in the series that we'll ever see Adam in pants. He usually only wears robes or wraps, so it was nice to get a chance to draw the thighs. I also get a chance to draw him outside of the mask since he's not in uniform. Guys, I made a mistake. I made him too handsome. He has to wear the mask for the entirety of the first 2 seasons so he can get the reveal at the final battle. But he's so handsome. I hate covering it up. I guess it's better than making the mask look better than the face, like they did in the original show, which I'm still kind of salty about. I gave him a regular coat with some spikes on the shoulders to reference the OG Adams battle robe. I also made the seam on the inner leg red, cause I think it's cool. I was gonna give him a cape too, but there wasn't any room with his wings in the way. I have made a few edits to both of their character designs since I first designed them, just like a few of the other characters I mentioned earlier. I softened Eve's face up a little, it made her skin and hair darker. I also changed the shape of her mouth and then gave them both colored line art, but only on their actual bodies. Their clothes will all have regular black line art. I think they both look fantastic with colored line art. It makes things more practical for Eve since both hair and horns are black, so it gives it a little bit more separation. And I did all the other angels to match. Adam got golden line art, and I think he looks great in it. He looks like he's glowing now. It's just everything I love. I almost forgot their halos. I almost always do, but I noticed just in time and fixed it. Now before you all leave, I take commissions. Also, look at this fan art. It's cool, isn't it? This artist actually doesn't have any social media for me to shout out, but they are cool and I do want you all to see it. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for this video. I want to keep the rest of the episode ideas that I have under wraps for now. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and a special thank you to my financial supporters, JRDS, Mercer Scout Holt, Stephen Drake, Jay Draws, and Silent Savvy. You're all the greatest. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon. I take commissions on all of my social media, so shoot me a DM. Also, please send me your fan art. I'd love to see it, and it'll go at the end of the video. Best place to send it to me is on Discord. My Discord name is in the description. That's all I have. I'll see you all next week in a super cool video where I sell my soul to the company. Bye!